This is the Horsepower Hour.
Hello, my friends, and welcome once again to the Horsepower Hour, the only podcast, truly the only podcast with a salvage title. Joining me, as always, is the staying man, the tough guy, the true dark horse. People don't realize this. Ford's actually stolen that moniker from Coy, because Coy is the dark horse, and so now with the new Mustang, they've stolen that.
That was my first porn name, was Dark Horse. So yeah, that's I don't really have a bunch of trademark on that, but you know, it's out there, so they knew. Like I'm not gonna pretend nobody at Ford hasn't seen my films.
Just to clarify, I mean, technically your name was My Little Pony, but you know, the derivative Dark Horse, I think that people can see how it's very close, right?
Unless you want to go down a weird, dark My Little Pony furry path, we can get into it. Yes, my porn acting was in the My Little Pony sector of pornography, or sorry, adult films. But still, in the film, I was the dark horse. My name was Calvin. I was just dark in color. So,
yes.
Yeah. Anyways, we don't want to. That's a whole nother podcast, Andy. What have you been up to in sunny Florida?
You know, man, not a whole lot. I am still in the boot. I'm still on crutches. I'm still, healing my foot. So just not really going out and doing a whole lot. Been talking to a few people. Had a really fantastic interaction with a fella on Facebook Marketplace. I wasn't going to get into this on this episode. So I don't know how much I really want to do on this, but let's just say it was it was one of those fun interactions where when they finally do respond, you really get the response that you want. And we'll talk about it next week, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be our deal Doob next week. But very classic responses. It was really beautiful. And actually, I got a response out of the dude that has this week's dealer Doob. I didn't tell him that we were going to be reviewing his vehicle, but I did get some extra information
afterwards, or send them a show link afterwards.
I should. That's a good idea. And plus I'm not really going to rag on this vehicle all that much. I think it's, but anyways, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. But just, and solving problems and doing things. My power company, I set up automatic withdrawals with them, and they have not received like a single check from my bank or been able to withdraw any money. And I hours on the phone trying to figure them out. It's still the PayPal thing is going on too. So that adds this extra layer, because now our bank is blocking anything that might look quote unquote suspicious. And apparently the power company looks suspicious to them. So in the meantime, I just get to watch all these late fees build up with my power company while I'm trying to get it all sorted. So that's the extent of my week. Nothing super cool. Although I did watch the Mustang Reveal yesterday.
Yeah.
I said watch. I shouldn't use that term, because what I did was I was sitting and watching a movie with my wife, and then I had the reveal up on my phone, and it was 40 minutes of exposition. And by the way, a bunch of Mustang people that were featured by Ford. I thought that was very cool. Lots of community involvement. I did like that. It's just I was there to see the new Mustang. And so I had to kind of wade through all of that. And then the reveal was very cool. And then I turned it off. I mean, it's a new car reveal. What exactly are you going to get out of it? It wasn't some super spectacular. As soon as I saw the stage, I knew that they weren't going to be doing big smoky burnouts around people in the center or anything. But
when they did the Bronco reveal, that was like, that set the standard for a fucking reveal, dude. They did it like before a football game. Like I was driving down the fucking highway, had that shit over my speedometer on my phone, like playing it on my way to your house, I think, actually. I'm like, I can't miss this. It was amazing. But they had something new to reveal, whereas the new Mustang, it's another, you're not really revealing much. So it makes it hard to do 40 minutes of content on something new that's really 20% new.
Should we talk about it now, or should we sit on that? Because I know you've got something you wanted to talk to us about first.
Oh, I've got all kinds of hot news going on. I just about pulled the trigger on a preview last weekend.
Really?
But like your marketplace experience, it did not go how I wanted.
Oh, no. Okay.
So I was checking the marketplace, always checking those Toyota Prius, and they're always beat up. But I scroll through, and if they're cheap, I don't care if it's beat up. But I see one that says $700. It's a maroon red. I'm like, ugh, I hate that color. Click. As I'm scrolling down, it says transmission manual, and I was like, the fuck it is. And I'm like, oh fuck, $700. I'll part it out and make this kind of money. It's fucking mine. Like, I don't care if it's an all track or not. I read the description. They're like $700. I don't have the title. There's a title lien by a tow company. They have the title. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't give a fuck. Like, if we can figure out this title situation, I'm giving the dude $700. I'm not even gonna talk him down. I'll give you $700 for your shitty preview because it's a manual.
Mhm.
So I messaged him like, look, how do we go about getting the title? And he goes, it's not available. And I was like, what? The car or the title? And then I know nothing. That was it. I never got another response. So I don't know. Like, you know how, like, I'm ready to just, I wouldn't have said, look, man, 650. I would have been like $700. How do we get the title? Like, what's involved? Let's do this. Like, I'm just going to give you money, cash.
Yeah.
But just nothing.
Okay. I love that.
So that was my sweet marketplace situation last week. But have you heard of Formula G? The gambler Formula G?
No, I have not actually.
So
Is that
it's
something new?
it started this year in like July. I looked into it and messaged them a bunch. It is a spec-ish go-kart racing series. It is a Coleman, see if I get this right, YT126. So it's the little two-seater Coleman that has some suspension-ish, and it's an endurance race. They try to run them about 2 hours, and they do them at different gambler locations. Sorry, Roy's watching live. KT196.
KT196. Got it. Thank you, Roy.
My friend Roy is he owns one, and then other people drive it basically. So he invited me to come watch. I came and watched. When this first came out, I was into it. I messaged the guy because you're allowed to make modifications, but like you got to keep that 212cc, Honda motor size motor in it, but you can do whatever you want to the motor. You just have to keep that block base essentially. Stock suspension pickup points, stuff like that. It's all pretty loose rules too. But I was super into it. Talked to the guy that's running it. I think it's Matt. I can't remember his last name, but one of the original gambler guys. Yeah, they're $1,600 brand new.
Yep. And this is from Sam's Club, so this is probably a little bit of a deeper discount, unless you can find one at Costco, of course. But
they're literally like $15.99 normally. So
that's a pretty steep buy-in.
Well, you can buy these on
this year. Darwin,
Facebook, and Craigslist, and stuff too. Like, I ain't gonna buy a new one because that motor I'm gonna blow, and then I'm gonna have one of those Predator Ghost motors that's what everybody does. So they've had a couple races and they had pretty good success. This last one, they only had 2 carts in, but they have had a race that had like 16 carts in it. It's like, and they set a lap amount, like every so many laps, you got to do a driver change.
Mhm.
So it's kind of hot lap endurance racing, and super awesome. But I was super into it, but I just wanted to make sure that this was all going to go down and not just be a one season thing. And my wife came and she's like, I really want to do this. And I'm like, well, so do I. I've already looked into this quite a bit. And she's like, we're doing it. And I'm like, okay. So we're on board. Like, sounds like I'm going to be doing some go-kart racing. They might have one more race this year, but it's not for sure. But yeah, I'm going to be getting me a go-kart. So
that's awesome.
They're trying to make it like 1980s F1 rules, basically. Like, that's why I call it Formula G. But yeah. So I got that. And what else? Oh, I sent you a sweet video this morning, didn't I?
Yeah. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah, I got to play with the homeless people. I'm working in a city park that had been overrun by, did you say homeless, unhoused, transient? I don't know the proper thing to call them.
Your
Fucking
unhoused
crackheads.
neighbors. It's your unhoused neighbors, Coy.
Unhoused. Oh, sorry. My unhoused neighbors that are fucking high out of their gourds.
Yes.
They had a park in Salem that has just got completely overran during COVID, like where it was an entire transient community of hundreds and hundreds of people. Eventually, the city finally was like, all right, we're going to do something about this. They pushed everybody out, towed 190 some cars out of this park. Over around half of them were stolen. At some time during this park, they had cut the power coming down a power pole off and then pulled the power line off the pole for copper and then drug a large power transformer out of a underground vault, assuming they hooked a minivan or something to it and drug it out. And so the power had to be redone as they're doing that. And this has gone pretty well. They've all been pretty respectful. Most of them just don't make eye contact. Occasionally they act like they're not homeless, be like, because this park's closed, nobody's supposed to be in there, but there's a bunch in there. But like, hey, bro, I was just out here looking for my cat. So did you see an orange tabby? They said I could be here. You're like, yeah, okay. Maybe he's in the bushes over there, you know? So, yeah, but we had one walk up to us this morning, and
Yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah,
The safety guy was there.
You got a little video here that you sent me.
Yeah.
See if we can make out what she's saying. So what was her deal?
I'm not 100% sure, and this is probably partially my fault because I'm half deaf. She rolls up and starts talking to us. I'm catching like every 3 word there because I don't know how much you've talked to these kind of people, but they talk in like these speed bursts where it's like, how do I go in a fucking guy? You know, I mean, like it's like the last 3 they emphasize, and it's fucking city, you know, and so she's sitting there, she comes walking up, she's trying to talk to us. It's like, hey guys, something about the park, how bad it's gotten. It's kind of what I was picking up. And she's just there trying to fix the homeless problem because she just cares so much. And I was like, bitch, you are homeless. And I'm just yes handing. Oh yeah, absolutely. And she's getting through. And at a certain point, I pick up something about bodies in the bushes, and I was like, whoa, like we weren't part of the ODOT, Salem cleanup here. Where I'm just putting in a new power line. I don't know. I'm not digging any bodies out. I'm just utility work. Don't worry about us,
Yeah.
And she was apparently angry that we're digging because she claims that this is an Indian burial grounds. We're digging through Indian bodies. And I mean, this is all translation. Like, and she's now worked up. She's getting upset. Like she went from almost tears because she cared about the homeless community too much to fuck you, you're going to hell. And at a point, her father, Silver Eagle, she is going to stand up for him, and we're not going to dig through Silver Eagle's burial grounds. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, dude. Like it's insane. And so I'm trying to diffuse, and I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna grab a bottle of water out of the truck. You want a bottle of water? Sometimes you give them something, and they kind of. So, oh yeah, she's like, yeah, I'll take a bottle of water. So I grab a bottle of water. I hand her a bottle of water. She's talking this whole time, but just semi-legible. I'm up against the truck and have turned around and I hand her a bottle of water, and she explains she has bugs in her hair. I'm like, oh, that's no good. She's like, she grabs her hair and kind of parts it. Here, look, and leans toward me. And I'm like, no, I'm good. She's like, no, look. And then like comes at me with her fucking head. And I'm just like, absolutely not. Which I told the guys later, I'm like, I wish you'd come out with a knife. Like I would have been way more comfortable dodging a fucking dagger than some licey hair. Anyways, and at that moment, then she just went full fucking manic, yelling, fuck you guys. And then she kind of finally wandered off. I just fired up some equipment and unloaded some stuff. that kind of usually if you can make a bunch of noise where they can't even no one can hear them. They'll usually kind of wander off. She kind of did, but she circled back, and then she sat down about 40 feet from us, and that's where you got the video. And it appeared she was having a conversation, but she was doing both sides of it and talking to us. So there was obviously she was talking to someone with her, and that person was talking back to her, and then at us. At a certain point, she was having an argument. It sounded about some marital issues. Who is that bitch? Like, where'd she come from? Listen, bitch, I'm here, steal your man, stuff like that. Like she was going into this conversation, just sitting there drinking the bottle of water I gave her. And she started throwing, then the two bitches that she was role playing or whatever was happening, start throwing homophobic slurs at me and the other guy, called us all. I'm like, hey, whoa, like I don't care how drug addled you are, you can't. Yeah. So that was pretty funny. But we finally had to get to work. It moved on. She was in and out all that day, but it was a good interaction. I really like it. I love that I live in a progress. I love that I live in a world where homeless people are just insane, and we just let them run wild. At one point, the safety guy's like, "Hey, man, when we call the cops," I'm like, "What are they gonna do? Ask her to leave?" Like,
if the cops
I'd be surprised if they showed up.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's the reality of when you live in an area like that. Like, it's just when it's overrun, it's overrun. It's like telling cockroaches that they can't be here anymore. Momomoto's in the comments. Thanks for joining us, Momomoto. He says, episode of Jerry Springer going on in her head. And the most profound thing we've seen so far, never turn your back on the mentally ill. Or maybe not as profound, actually, as Darwin Bonk says, call them whatever you want because they ain't listening. Or it might actually, you know what? The most important comment we might have gotten is this right here. Want to find love, our AI will help. I love those spam bots.
Yeah, Prison Planet. That's what it feels like in certain parts of town. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I know you're never turn your back on the mentally ill, but I wasn't turning my back to her. But I would have much rather her come at me with a blade than try and fucking force me to touch her hair. I almost threw up on her. Like, I don't know why. Like, if a homeless person just pulled a knife out of their backpack and stabbed me, I'd be like, well, I'm going to the hospital now. That fucking sucks. But I've just been stabbed. If my hand touches the hair that they say have bugs in it, I'm cutting my fucking arm off. Like, while yakking, like, I am so horrified. I don't know why I found that so much scarier than being attacked with a knife. Like, that the safety guy was like, man, she can come out with a knife. You never know what's gonna happen. I'm like, she almost made me touch. She's trying to make me touch her hair, bro. That's way fucking worse. Like, so what if you stab me? I'm fat. Like, how long a blade are we? It's not a sword. I'll live.
Yeah, I feel that. Oh man, that's one thing that I definitely don't miss about Oregon. I mean, we don't have, and people actually complain about the homeless population around here. I think I've seen a total of like a dozen homeless people in greater Panama City and surrounding areas
in the last 6 months.
9 months. But yeah. Well,
I think that's where you live, dude. It's coke, bro. Cocaine cowboys. Where I live, it's rainy. Like, it's fentanyl and heroin, and we just do a bunch of fucking horrible shit and fall asleep in the bushes and turn into a zombie.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's like a zombie apocalypse in some of these areas.
I mean, I wish it was a bunch of cokeheads, but the shipping costs are just so insane to get that shit from Cuba to here. So we could get the shipping cost on that down. It could really improve not only their quality of life, but probably mine. Like, have you ever done coke? I hear it's amazing.
I've never done coke, but what I can tell you is when you see Colombian coffee in the store, it's real cheap. So why can't we get that coke for cheap? That's all I'm saying.
There's no reason it should be a rich man's drug.
Yes. Coy, thank
Wall
you.
Street fucking the regular man again. They're hoarding all the coke for themselves.
Well, do you think somebody was sniffing coke when they came out with this 7th generation Mustang? You've got the dark horse behind you. It's quite a machine. Quite a machine.
I don't think they were sniffing enough coke, honestly. I was hoping for more. Last week I said I think, you know, think we're gonna see a 7.3, dude. You see a 7 in that Stampede, that can't just stand for 7th gen. Like there's got to be more. Maybe it was a conspiracy theory, the Alex Jones in me wanting more. I read into it too much, and no, there's no 7.3. There's fucking nothing new.
There's
Literally,
really
even
not.
though it's just, I mean, they put Ford engines in Camaros. Like, how new is it?
It's kind of weird because everybody is comparing this new Mustang body style, and that really is what it is. It's little more than a facelift. I mean, nobody's put their hands on it really to take it around the track. So who knows if Ford's made some minor tweaks that make huge improvements, but for most metrics, this is the last generation Mustang with a facelift and a few other things that have been changed around. The engine's been changed around a little bit. But anyways, look at the profile. If you guys are on video, you can see it right now. If you're listening to the audio podcast, we've linked everything we're talking about underneath of the episode. So go ahead and click those links and follow along if you want to. But doesn't this sort of look like a 6th generation Camaro from the side?
Yeah, I see what they're doing. Kind of like they did make it more angular on the rear. I don't even want to call it fenders. Those hips of the car, I should say,
Mhm.
the top of the fenders. They made it a lot more angular, which is a little bit more reminiscent of the original Mustang, but also wildly reminiscent of Camaros.
Right.
So, I don't know if they're trying to copy the Camaro or they're trying to pull in some little tidbits from other generations of Mustangs, and it kind of just ended up Camaro adjacent. You know what I mean?
And
The
I
slope of
probably
that roof just seems like it matches the Camaro rear slope really closely. The way that quarter window is really similar.
mhm.
I don't. I won't say it looks like it. It gives you deja vu of a Camaro. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's pretty similar. I'm seeing if I can just quickly find a photo that compares the two, but yeah, I don't know. It's pretty similar. It's more similar than I really think it should be. So I don't know. That kind of bumps me a little bit. Not that not that it's the end of the world, obviously. I mean, it's not a bad looking car. I'm actually not a super huge fan of the headlights. I think they're too small and and thin. The front end kind of looks weird on this to me. There is some good news though. The Coyote engine has gotten some updates, some upgrades. Power numbers are anywhere between 480 and 530. Nobody's got a real tight finger on what the horsepower figures are just yet, but they've done some interesting things. The Coyote, the 7th generation, uh, with the 5.0 Coyote motor, just so everybody knows what we're talking about, it now has a dual plenum intake manifold with dual throttle bodies and dual air intakes. And Ford is saying that that change, along with some tuning changes, a larger exhaust cam, and larger exhaust headers, tubers, that that has given it quite a bit more breathing room, and they've been able to up the power output reliably, safely in these Coyote motors by a lot. So I think that's really good news for the Coyote. I knew that nobody had really hit the, or the manufacturer at least hadn't hit the limit for it, because you and we even know a guy. There's a fella in Albany that's got a 780 horsepower one of these. So I mean, they're not difficult to make power on, and I am happy to see that Ford put a little bit more time and effort into it to squeeze that extra bit of horsepower out. What do you think about the dual plenum intake, dual throttle bodies? Was that an interesting choice in your opinion?
Yeah, it looks cool. I give you that. Like, at this point, I'm a little disappointed, honestly. The looks of it, like everybody's kind of ragging on the Camaro looks. Like if I actually just kind of stand back and just clear my mind and look at this car, I don't think it looks. I think it looks pretty good, honestly. Like if I didn't know what Mustangs were and I saw this and I was like, oh, if we lowered that a little bit, it'd be a sharp car. Like I appreciate how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
So that part I don't mind. This part is a little bit more spiritual, but why aren't we giving everything all the horsepower at this point? Like, what does it cost? What does it cost to make for Ford to make the Coyote from a 450 horsepower motor to a 650? Like, is there even a fucking price difference when they're manufacturing it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
And if there is, how negligible is it? Like, you know what like, why are we like bump
They
this
want
shit
to.
up?
Well, they want to keep reliability, and I understand that. But I also I actually agree with what you're saying. Like, why aren't we getting a last hurrah if this really is going to be the end of the gas V8 muscle cars, right?
Well, and you know, for the masses, for all the chicks and dudes that don't care, do a turbo 6 or whatever, do an EcoBoost and just, you know, be it 350, 400. For all your V8s and GT 350s, let's shoot for 700, give or take. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It can't be that hard.
We
I
do
mean,
have
all
some,
their diesel trucks have like 700 horsepower, right?
yeah, true, true. I mean,
So
those are quote unquote work vehicles. They're not funsy vehicles, but yeah, I agree.
let's throw sane horsepower out of it. Let's put a bunch of nannies on it though, you know, all the traction control and shit. Make it do all that. And then make a little rain dance to turn it off. That's, you know, so you can't turn it off real easy in the middle of rain on traffic, you know, hold the brake down, do some shit, turn it off. Done and done. Like let's last hurrah this fucking Mustang before we go all electric. Like how hard is this?
I agree. I agree. We've got some comments coming in. Momomoto says they new edged the 6th gen, and I agree. I mean, this feels like more of a facelift to me. I know that there's some fundamental engine changes. The interior, we're gonna get to that, and there's some
This
pretty.
feels like when the chicks do that haircut where they shave one side of the head, you know? They keep the hair long, but they shave one side, and it's like fucking new, edgy. I'm 33 and I've changed my style. It's like, look, it looks okay, but it's like you haven't really you shave half your head, a third of your head. Nothing's that different. So I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you.
Darwin Bonk says the headlights scream Camaro. See, I still agree. Momoto says that is the 4-cylinder nose. And he's right. The photos that we were going through, there's the 4-cylinder, and then now we're looking at a red convertible top V8. The front end does change quite a bit, so you'll be giving me your thoughts on that. Roy says the new body style has a Giorgetto, some other name. I'll have to look that name up, Roy. I'm not sure who you're talking about. I'm sorry,
It
my
sounds
friend.
wildly Italian, whatever he's saying.
Momomoto says not giving the base GT 500 horsepower and going berserk from there was kind of lame. I agree with that. I do agree with that. Roy says, are they playing the balance of road and race car horsepower to the capacity of the suspension? What's needed to be competitive and still make bean counters happy? And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, they're trying to put this thing out and um appease whatever, like Roy's saying, the bean counters basically. But at the same
They're trying
time,
to make as much money as possible and sell as many as possible, and end of story. But I look, if they start making making the base V8 Mustangs the 5.0s, like Mobile Moto was saying, barrier to entry 500 horsepower, special models from there go up, right? Like even I am going to be like, look, I'm interested in the Mustangs at that point.
yeah,
But like we're there, like we're just pumping out motors. You've got a giant machine shop. You can just make them higher compression. You can just make them more horsepower. You could just make them with a tune, like, and the reliability is still going to be there. Sure, not at 700, but at fucking 500, dude, all day. Like, I don't understand why we can't throw horsepower at Mustangs.
I know. I agree. I really don't know why they're doing it this way or what the plan is, but I mean, that's just kind of where we're landing. Let's talk about the interior for a second here, Coy. We have a giant LCD screen in place of where the dash would be, and then we have another giant LCD screen as an infotainment system. Now, I don't mind that the dashboard is essentially an LCD screen. I do worry about well, first of all, you don't actually have to worry about gauges going bad, but now you have to worry about the entire bezel going bad, which is bad news. But at the same time, lot of talk about the fact that these are going to come with the Fox body style gauges, basically
Well,
a Fox body
a
looking.
picture, a visual representation of Fox body gauges.
Exactly.
I
And so that excites me for a couple of different reasons because I would love to see optional downloads for what your gauges would look like or what your background, your dashboard would look like because the whole thing's an LCD screen. So in theory, you can put almost anything on there that you want, and it goes even a step further than that.
So
The
you want like
software.
the homepage of your like you want your gauges, but behind that your wife with your golden retriever.
I mean, in theory, you could do that. I was thinking a little bit more like 1967 Mustang fastback gauges, maybe in white and silver to go in my gray car. I think that would look really, really cool. And guess what? If it didn't look cool, you can just download something else. Could you imagine like downloading a dash pack from all your favorite car TV shows? So you could download a dash pack from Knight Rider. You could download a dash pack from the A Team. Like, I think that would be really cool.
I, look, it's cool, but I mean, I had an app one time that made my phone screen and stuff look like the Pip Boy from Fallout, and you'd tap it, and it was kind of cool for like 20 minutes, and then I was like, this isn't cool. I mean, I don't even know why I probably deleted it. So it's like, it's interesting. I get why you're doing it, but once again, like, dude, that shit's gonna look so fucking ancient and outdated in 10 years.
It could. And Mobile Moto brings up a good point. He says his Bronco's 12-inch infotainment system is a bit glary with a screen protector applied to it. So that's another thing. We don't know how light's going to react when it's bouncing off of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a billion times. I had an S2000. It had like one of the first legit digital dashboards. It looked fucking amazing. Like when that first came out in 2000, that dash cluster, like it was like fucking stealth fighter jet shit.
Yeah.
By the time I sold that car in 2016 or something, it looked like my alarm clock, and alarm clocks were almost out. That like it looked horrible, honestly. It had nostalgia value because that's just what an S2000 gauge cluster looks like, but it's not good. Like it's blocky, fucking it's just a bunch of eights.
hmm
I know this is different. It's LCD. It's better. I I've never had a problem with just analog ish gauges.
I know. And I'm right there with you. Would it
Now,
change your mind at all if I told you that the dash and the infotainment system were being run by the Unreal Engine?
I, again, that's cool.
It means
I
3D graphics. It means that potentially you could be playing Fallout New Vegas on your dashboard.
go out to break and you just see a guy out there whipping his steering wheel around.
Playing a little Gran
He's
Turismo.
playing a racing game. He's got he's got full feedback in the steering wheel. Analog brakes are actuating. He runs his battery dead. Uh yeah, it's kind of I'm not into it. I just want regular gauges. Like I feel like they'll always look better no matter what. Like take the Lexus supercar, the LFA.
Yeah.
When that thing came out, the digital dash and that, and it still is. I mean, it was like fucking next level, like Starship shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, think of the Starship looking shit that you saw in movies as a kid, some kind of digital dash. Go back and
Listen,
watch that movie now.
Coy, we get it. You don't like the dashboard.
Yeah,
But what do you think about the e-brake? Because man, they are hyping this e-brake, boy.
Yeah, they keep saying it's a drift brake.
It is. In theory, I don't know. We'll find out.
I need to know more about it. Like, so it doesn't have a lock. It doesn't lock up, or you got to twist it or something to lock the e-brake.
I don't know, but it was designed with help, with input and feedback from Von Gittin Jr. Huh?
That's cool. I watched a movie that had feedback from a pro drifter in it once.
Okay. So we're running out of new things to actually talk about with this car, because it literally is just a facelift and a few accessory minor changes. So Coy, let's hear your final thoughts about the new Mustang. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
So here's the actual my big takeaway was the Dark Horse edition. It's not really not that special, it seems like. The thing that I found most interesting is it's going to have carbon fiber wheels.
You know that that's a track only vehicle though, right?
Uh, they're still carbon fiber wheels, bro. And to
Oh,
see those, like,
yeah.
I'm just excited because before carbon fiber wheels was like street bikes, or not even street bikes, but leader bikes and Paganis and shit, like ultra high end, uber exotic. To see that on even a track only Mustang means carbon fiber wheels are slowly bleeding down, which makes me have hope that in the next 10 years, maybe Inku will be like, hey, it's our BF1 carbon fiber wheel. And I'll be like, fuck, couldn't you make it a different wheel? I'm so tired of those. But yeah, I'm actually kind of stoked about those carbon fiber wheels.
Okay. All right. And you know that the Dark Horse model, Dark Horse S and Dark Horse R, the S is going to be the track day, fun day toy. And then the R is supposed to be for GT3 or GT4 class racing. I'm going to have to double check on that. But they've already announced, a Le Mans bid with the new body style of the Ford and everything. But I wanted to kind of touch on that because I felt like while people are talking about this, the takeaway from the reveal was, oh my gosh, that Dark Horse looks amazing. And I feel like it's one of those things where you have to kind of remind, not you, I'm not saying that I'm trying to remind you, but it's a good reminder for myself of like, oh yeah, those are track only vehicles. So how many are you really going to see out
Probably
there?
none ever, honestly. And
And
I'm
that's
not even, I think the Dark Horse did look good, but I don't think it doesn't look any better than any Mustang we'll see built at SEMA next year or in 2024 or whatever. So for me, I'm just excited to see carbon fiber wheels working their way. I mean, carbon fiber wheels on a Ford, which Mobile Moto says the 2014 GT350 had a carbon fiber wheel option. I was not aware of that. I fully believe you. I would have been excited about that then. Clearly, that technology hasn't, watered down to me. The trickle down economics didn't happen like I hoped they would. I'm hoping they do now. So to see that kind of technology, they always say like with F1, that technology you see on a F1 car in 10 years is bleeding down into, luxury sedans and stuff. So carbon fiber wheels have been way fucking up there in the F1 and then supercars. And like, we're getting down, like we're down to a high level Mustang. Few more years, we might see it into kind of, a JDM sports car or something. And then eventually we can just buy them. So that's my, honestly, the thing I was most excited about this Mustang reveal. It's just sad.
Give me like a, I don't know, 1 to 10. Where does it land on your scale?
The entire reveal.
It just, I mean, the new Mustang in general. I mean,
it's barely kicking the needle, bro. Like it's a 5. Like that's another Mustang. Like it's new, it's different-ish, but not really. Nothing's really new. I mean, it's all the same but different. It's a 5. My needle was bumped marginally.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Hey, that's fair enough. I mean, I'm kind of in the same vein. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. And you guys in the comments, by the way, that are tuning in, go ahead and throw your number up there. I'm curious how excited you are to see what's happening with the Mustang, if you're excited at all. Yeah, I'd give it a 6 just because of the engine revisions. And now we just have to keep our fingers crossed that somebody has half a brain and listens to this podcast and puts a 7.3 with a manual transmission in one of these Mustangs. It has to happen. Has to. But Coy, I have some good news. I think you're going to be super excited about this. Did you know that they have announced a Gran Turismo movie? Gran Turismo, like the PlayStation game, Gran Turismo. They're making it into a movie. Hold on. I can see it in your face, Coy. I can see it in your face. You're thinking to yourself, what
It's
exactly
animated,
is
isn't it?
It's not supposed to be, but you're
It's gonna
thinking
be
to yourself,
live.
it's going to be live. And you're thinking to yourself, what is even the plot of this? Because Gran Turismo is just a racing simulator. Well, I
Yeah.
have good news for you. Sony Pictures doesn't know either.
Oh, they don't know what the plot is. They just decided to make one off a video game.
Nobody's talking about the plot. They've got a director. They've got some actors. It's actually Neil Blomquist is directing this, and you're going to know him from such iconic movies as Battleship.
You know, that is a horrible movie that I will watch anytime it's on. Like if I'm
What
at the
about?
doctor's office and that's on, I'm watching it. You know what I mean?
I actually love that movie. It's terrible, but I love it.
No,
He also did.
I'll watch it every time.
Well, he also did District 9. Do you know that movie?
Yeah,
Meh, meh, meh.
that one's kind of the same. It's a little like I don't want to say politicky, but it's they're trying to teach you some kind of lesson in there that I just want to see them shoot alien guns. So they could have done better, but still decent, fair movie.
Do you remember the BMW films?
Yes, I do.
Neil Blomquist did The Escape.
The Escape. I'd have to look to see which one that one was.
The Escape. Let me see if it's linked here. And I've got the sound off so we won't get any copyright stuff. But let's see what this is. Ooh, it's taking a minute to load. BMW Films, The Escape.
Is this the one with the Z3?
Mm-hmm. With Clive Owen. Man, these were so good. Those BMW films were so good. Way, way better than they should be.
I think The Escape is the one where he's racing through all these military checkpoints and shit with a heart in like a suitcase to transplant to some politician or king or prince or something. But yeah, and he's going berserker in M3.
And Momomoto mentions, wasn't Madonna in one of those films? That was one of the best ones. I forget what that one was called, but yeah, he drives her around to what's that woohoo movie or song, excuse me.
Is it Sum 41? I got my head checked.
No, it's a British band. They were a one-hit wonder. That was their only one, but it was such a good
I
song.
have it on my phone.
It was such a good little short film. It was really, really good. Blur. Yeah.
Yes, Blur. That's what it is.
What is it? Track 7, I think.
I think the song is 7 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, great song. Great. That the Clive Owens and Madonna one was the most iconic, perfect one. It was the best of them, but they were all good. I watched them many times.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
I don't know. You know, if we're gonna make a movie off stupid shit, let's get Clive Owens in there. Let's get BMW to give us a bunch of fucking cars and just call it the BMW film. I don't give a shit. I would go watch that right now.
I'm with you.
1,000 times more excited than a video game movie.
I'd be 1,000 times more excited than basically anything coming out from Marvel right now.
Oh yeah, Clive Owens. He's underrated. I said he should have Bond at some point.
I think he should have been Bond too. I agree.
And he could have done a transporter or done something with it. Like he was right in there. I'm surprised they didn't use him, honestly.
Darwin Bonk, by the way, says we just need a performance-focused engineer from Ford to share some special fruit chews with the bean counters to get that beast mode Mustang.
That I'm down. And once I'd watch that movie too. A great movie where a team of engineers need to get their fucking crazy race motor approved. So they take all the bean counters out on some drug-fueled stripper fucking Vegas weekend. Yeah.
It'd be like Ford versus Ferrari meets The Hangover.
Yeah. It would be
That'd
amazing.
That'd be an amazing movie, dude. There is some speculation that this movie is going to be based on the GT Academy, where I think it's every year, every other year, they have that competition where they invite sim racers to come and basically do like a camp for a week. And the person that wins at the end has the opportunity to get a sponsored ride in a race car. And there's some people talking about it might be sort of like the story of how Gran Turismo started that. So that could be cool to watch. We don't know how it's going to go, but that could be an interesting thing. It's really the only direction I could see this going. They could do the Need for Speed movie, or like what the Need for Speed movie did, which was just super loose plot that was full of holes and got no real beginning and no ending, but lots of really cool looking car chases.
Really, what more do you need? Just Blues Brother this thing. You know what I mean?
Hey, there you go. Yeah, make it like the largest pile up you can possibly get.
If you're not going to get a record for box office, why not get a record for crashing the most cop cars?
It's like I always say, if you can't be a good example, be a harsh reminder. People are going to remember you either way.
A harsh reminder. I prefer grim reminders, but whatever.
Okay, grim reminders. Well, harsh is when you cringe when you think back about
harsh
something.
insinuates you survive, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's fair. You know what might not survive too much longer, though? Dealerships, Coy.
Fuck yeah. I mean, what?
So I don't know if you saw this or not, but apparently Ford dealerships have gotten an ultimatum directly from Jim Farley. Big old Jim Bob. Big Jim Bob Farley. You know him. You remember him from community college, right?
Yep. In his van down under the river.
Well, my man's he put out an ultimatum. By October 31st, dealerships are going to have to decide whether or not they're going to sell EVs out of their dealerships. And if there are, they have some very steep rules and restrictions that they have to follow. Have you read any of this stuff yet?
They're going to the in my local area, they call it the no bull, no hassle pricing. But it's, shopping for EVs is going to be like shopping at Walmart. Just the price on the shelf is what you pay.
Yep.
There'll be no price gouging. They can't ask for more. You can't offer less. You just pay the price. Everybody will know ahead of time what that price is.
Yep. What they're calling it is the Ford Blue Oval is going to be the gas sales now. But then the Ford Model E is going to be its whole separate sales arm, just strictly for EVs. And if you want to get quote unquote Model E certified from Ford, you have to first and foremost agree to Ford's new fixed price policy. So that's going to put a restriction on the dealerships. Hey, that's good news. Now, technically, that's only for the electric vehicles right now. So the price gouging for gas vehicles, who knows what kind of future that's
Carry on, my wayward son.
Yeah, who knows? But something interesting is there are certain upgrades that need to be made to the dealerships before they can even get in at like the bottom level. Apparently they're going to have tiers of different Model E dealerships. And so you're going to have a standard tier, you're going to have basically a beginner tier before the standard tier, and then they're going to have an elite tier that's at the very top. And check this out. So standard Model E certified dealerships need to commit to spending as much as $500,000 to reach this status. Elite dealers can be expected to spend between $900,000 and $1.2 million. And what that comes down to, by and large, apparently, is the charging stations that they're required to have. So even at your lowest level, if you're going to be selling EVs, Ford is making you put in chargers that are publicly available, and you have to have them available all the time, 24/7. Those need to be installed in your dealership. You cannot have a dealership without having one of those. if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure I've already seen EV chargers at a few larger Ford dealerships before I left Oregon. I don't think they were Ford certified or anything like that. I think it was just more of like a courtesy for people coming in to look at vehicles. Smart too, by the way, because if you're driving around in a plug-in hybrid, like maybe a Hyundai or something, and you need a place to charge and you see, oh, the Ford dealership's got a free one I can use. So you go and plug in, and you're not trying to be an asshole. So you go in, kind of walk around, pretend like you're looking at cars. That's an opportunity for them to sell you on something.
That's absolutely true. I've actually installed a few chargers at Ford dealerships. It always seemed to me when I was there that employees and managers might have bought a few EV vehicles and wanted a free charger out back, but I can't judge. I will say though, is it really just the price that they're going off of? Because I feel like if you're in LA or Fresno or something and you have a dealership installing electric car chargers, I bet installing 4 electric car chargers, permitting process and everything to getting them put in probably does cost 500 grand there. If you're in Texas, it's going to be like 20 grand. So, I mean, uh, hopefully there's a little bit more than just the price of it. I don't know. That feels super, um, I don't know what the right term is. I feel a little eat the rich kind of thing when they're like, "Ooh, you gotta spend this much money to get this pack." Like, you know what I'm saying, Andy? It's like it does. Honestly, I'm kind of a Ford. I like Ford and the way they generally operate. This not so much the tiered dealer system. Like you're buying it. It just feels very pay to play kind of. I don't know.
It could be pay to play, and we don't know if Ford is actually like profiting off of dealerships giving them this money, but I don't that's not what it sounds like. It sounds to me like they essentially have to bring their dealership up to a certain code or a certain level that Ford wants you to be at. They go on to talk about in this article from The Drive that lower tier Model E certified uh, dealerships will just get a certain number of EV vehicles. They're going to have a cap on them, whereas the elite certified dealers will have basically no sales cap, and so they'll get preferential treatment as the EVs come out and production ramps up and stuff like that. So it also sort of limits how many they can sell if they don't go with the elite package. I'm with you. There's a little bit of like a buy-in, pay to play, but then there's a third component to this, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that. Dealerships can opt out of becoming Model E certified, but that also removes the opening for the dealership to sell electric vehicles or even to seek certified status until 2027. So essentially, you're putting your dealership on hold for 5 years if you don't take this deal by October 31st.
That's interesting. I don't. It's 5 years, bro. That's a blink. Like, you really think electric sales are going to skyrocket that much?
Depending on the area, but I mean, you're right. No,
Ford dealers
nationwide.
primarily sell trucks. They barely even make cars. Like, so what's their bread and butter? It's not cars. Like,
True.
and they can't make enough trucks to meet the demand as is. Like, Ford F-150s have been best selling fucking thing in America for years. I mean, or right up there. So, oh, you're not going to be able to sell the Lightning, but you'll be able to sell every other Ford F-150, which we sell millions of, along with the 250s and 350s and 450s and so on and so forth. So I don't,
hmm
yeah, I don't know.
Momoto, of course, brings up a good point. The states where internal combustion engine sales are banned after 2035. I mean, dealerships in those areas are going to be scrambling for this. I think Ford is trying to build its own network of electric chargers. By the way, they call it the Blue Oval Charging Network, and I think that that's another component of this. Is they're trying to kind of maybe you're right, maybe strong arm dealerships into becoming part of their charging station network nationwide.
I'm could be, but I mean, do you need more charging stations in cities? Like, imagine you're on a road trip. Sorry, it's a road trip. You could be on a road trip too.
Yeah.
You're on a road trip, like you pull into a town and it's like, oh, there's a Ford dealer, so I know they have a charging station, but it's like there's already going to be a charging station. I need to see a charging station at the truck stop 40 miles down the 84, 120 miles from the next real town. Like if you're trying to build that infrastructure so that people are more into it, like it's fine to strong arm your dealers, but you need to get some in weird spots. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what all's going on here, but Ford plays really dumb a lot of times, but is way fucking smarter than they let on and people think. Like there's a reason why they didn't get government bailed out and a reason why their trucks are the best selling. And we can talk about, they circled the problem and you can make fun of everything they do, but they're business savvy. And I think quite a bit more so than, the other two big Americans. So they have some kind of plan, and I'm sure it's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I agree. I think that's what we can surmise from this whole thing. This is a very Ford centric episode, by the way. I just realized that.
Yeah.
Even our Smokin Dealer Smokin a Doobie is a Ford. Should we go ahead and roll into that, Coy?
Yeah, it's funny because when I picked that, I had no idea. I guess I did know the 14th was going to be released in the Mustang, but I had no idea we'd had so much Ford news.
Yeah. Well, they can't keep out of the news, dude. They can't keep out of the news. Oh, actually, before we move on, I did want to just quickly touch on this, something that actually Roy sent to me earlier. OBS Ford trucks only at the No BS OBS show and swap. I did not even realize that this was happening. This was at Antique Powerland.
Yeah, it was
Just
right
right off
super
of
cool.
I-5.
I guess there was like over 1,200 vehicles there. It was a whole like biggest OBS Ford show on the West Coast, blah blah. I hung out with Roy like the week before. It's like, you got anything going on at Powerland this next weekend? It's like, nah, I'm gonna be there deking around the trains, but there's nothing going on. So it's not like I just recently bought an OBS Ford and would have gone, but that's cool that he wouldn't think to tell me about it till after it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, apparently it was a really good show. Motor Trend even sent one of their people out to cover it. So very cool. Great job, you guys. What an awesome event. I'm sad that I missed it. But you know what? You're not going to want to miss out on this deal, dude, because honestly, I think this thing is legit.
Smokin Deal or Smokin Adobe.
Coy, what do we got here, man?
Let me get it. I'm 1 second. All right, here we are. It is a 1988 Ford Ranger XL pickup 2-door with a 6-foot bed.
Ford fucking Ranger.
I don't give a fuck. Yeah, Ford fucking Ranger. I'm no Danger Ranger fan. You know that, Andy. I'm no hater, but blah blah blah. This particular one though. Oh, Mobile Moto, he's coming down on it already. This particular one I'm into, and to the point where I feel like if you were here, we would have went and looked at this one together.
I can almost guarantee you. We would have.
I'm still thinking about going to look at it. So this is a 88 Project Ford. Was originally 2.3 swapped with a 2.3T from a turbo coupe. I'm assuming he's saying turbo coupe Thunderbird. The motor was rebuilt, all stock. Has been in my garage for the past 4 years. Been working on it here and there. Originally was planning on restoring it myself. The truck currently does not run. So right now, it doesn't run right now. So just keep that in your thoughts when you're pricing this. Got it to run, but tuning is a nightmare. And honestly, that's where I lost lost interest. I'm running a Mega Squirt. Here's what has been done. One-piece intercooler, tile blow-off valve and wastegate. China manifold. Recommend getting rid of the Chinese manifold, I'm assuming.
Here's a photo of it, by the way. And I'm kind of surprised he would go with the Chinese manifold because the dude's got some fab skills. He's has some photos in here of him fabbing up the exhaust, the downpipe and the exhaust. and it's pretty good looking work. So I'm kind of surprised that he went with an off the shelf turbo manifold, but I get it. I've been there too.
A Ron Francis wiring management. No idea what that is. I'd
It's a
have to
plug
Google
and
that.
play wiring harness.
Oh, okay. Well, that actually makes me feel better about this. Mega Squirt, ARP head studs, new stock head, a Turbonetics turbo. Does Turbonetics sell a turbo for less than $1,500?
No, but I'm pretty sure you can get these for like 9. Because if it's not a ball bearing, if it's just a journal bearing turbo, and if it's something like stocky off the shelf, you can pick something up for $800-900. But if it is a true Turbonetics turbo, he drops some money on that.
I mean, the picture, it says Turbonetics on the picture.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you zoom into that picture, you can read it. Turbonetics turbo, AEM boost and AFR gauge, 80 millimeter big brake, BBK throttle body, aluminum radiator and intercooler, 3-inch turbo to fender downpipe, reupholstered bench seat, new carpet, new door seals, window seals, 3-inch drop I-beam, drop blocks in rear, and QA1 front adjustable shocks.
And here's a photo of the inside, by the way. I actually don't think this looks bad at all. Like, the seat looks like it's in pretty good condition.
It's that old school, I think
Mhm.
Mobile Moto brought it up earlier. 80s red on red porno red or whatever.
Yep.
It's that, but I don't hate it. My only issue is if this was originally like a red truck and then he just painted it black, but I can't see any pictures that would lend credence to that thought other than the red interior.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
it
it
kinda
looks like a lot of the work's done. It needs tuned. Like, he had it running at one point, the tune is just no good. So if you knew somebody who's good at tuning Mega Squirt, like, I think you're in on this truck.
I know how to tune Mega Squirt. So let me just quickly tell you, I did actually get in touch with this guy. He answered a few questions for me. So that Turbonetics is just an off-the-shelf T3 T4 hybrid. It's something in like a GT30 or a T3 Super 60 kind of a range. Good fit, really good fit for these 2.3s. That's been the popular turbo to have on these since we were kids. So I mean, not a bad way to go there at all. I think he picked the right turbo. That's a good turbo to get you to like 320 horsepower. Um, Also, he did tell me that the hood, the front fenders, the bumper, and all of the front basically is all off of the truck right now. And obviously it doesn't run because it doesn't have a tune on it, but it does roll. So, he said he can roll it up on your trailer or whatever. But it has been a little more disassembled at this point because he's probably been trying to work on it while he has it listed, stuff like that. You know how projects like that go, Coy, right?
Yeah.
When you
Well,
end up getting a little stuck.
let's pop the cherry on the price here. He's asking $3,500 for this project.
Mhm.
Now, I actually originally got this not as a deal due, but kind of sent it to a few buddies. I got a friend who I know has a friend that's into Rangers, so I sent it to him. $3,500, dude. It feels like he's got 3,000. Like, you couldn't create this. $3,500 would get you all the shit, but you'd still need a Ranger to put it in.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. The Ron Francis wiring management, that's $400, I think. That Megasquirt system that he got, this is a legit super nice Megasquirt system. It's a Megasquirt 3 with all of the fixings. This is $1,000 standalone EMS from Stinger Performance. These are well known in that Turbo 2.3 community. They're still very active. They're still building these. These are a really good unit. So again, there's a G right there. The Turbonetics Turbo, let's just assume that he got it secondhand. It was probably $700-800, and that's the way we would go with it too, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, all that shit's adding up. I mean, I think it at $3,500, you could probably buy this and part it out and make at least your money back, maybe a little bit more. But man,
That's where I'm at. I mean,
this
Mobile Moto here, he says working on a bum project is like chewing on a bar of Irish Spring. Look, I get it. Used project cars can be like picking up used chewing gum. Like, why? Uh, I have multiple feelings about taking over somebody else's project because I've seen ones where that went super south, and then the next guy has no passion for it because it wasn't his fucking project. He thought he was just going to finish it and have a fast car or a good 4x4. But if they're already got something going the direction you want, and they've already bought half the parts, why not let them take that loss on their parts? Like, I've done that before where I've bought a super clean rig and then cut it all up and put all my stuff in it. And it's like, I could have just bought someone's, truck that already had a lift kit on it and already had a bumper and already had a winch, and then just did a little bit of my stuff and been thousands of dollars ahead. So, and honestly, it looks pretty good. Like, the interior looks really nice. The paint looks good. Like, I'm not a big Ranger fan. This is a pretty sharp Ranger.
It is. And you know me, I have an irrational love of all things like turbo 80s shit box.
Yeah.
And dude, this ticks every one of my boxes.
It's doing the same for me because, like, the obvious swap is 5.0 this thing, right? That's what, or carbureted 351. Like, that's the obvious go-to swap for this truck, and a fair swap. But honestly, dude, you're looking for a gas, saver just to run to work or something. You pick this thing up for 3,500, you get it tuned for $1,000. You're into this 4,500 bucks, and you got a turbo Ranger. I bet this thing gets pushing 40 miles a gallon once you're all set up with a tune.
No way. These engines are not good on fuel. I bet you get 25 though. You probably get 25.
Yeah, it's it's 2-wheel drive, it's lower, dude. I bet you get pretty good mileage. I think it's super cool. Like, this seems like the kind of thing you could get running good and make it a daily.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at
Mobile
too.
Moto
This would be
says he
such
gets
a fun-
30 with his 91 standard cab, but you don't get laid with that one. This one you might. You probably won't either, but you could.
Absolutely. This will not get you laid, period.
It's
what this
nuts.
is this is a parts runner when you're just around town. Like, if you're not trying to do any off-roading or going out in the woods or anything like that, like, this is the kind of thing where you want to go to Home Depot, pick up a couple of 2x4s and a sheet of plywood, and then race a 90s Civic on the way home. I mean, this is such a nostalgia, just it's like a nostalgia bomb for me. I don't even know.
This is a parts runner, shop truck, yada yada. For sure. I think this is awesome, but honestly, as much as I'd love to buy this bullet mesh, I got fucking an MR2 project that I can't get the mental fortitude to finish, even though I literally just have to put my interior back in. So how would what would I be doing here? Like, and I ain't gonna pay somebody to get an 88 Ranger turbo coupe swap running for it. Like, I ain't gonna throw that kind of stupid money at it. I don't have fuck myself money. So,
do you remember what you were saying last week about our deal, Doob, from last week? You were saying that it would be like the perfect high school car.
Yeah, this is falling right in that too, isn't it?
It feels that way, doesn't it?
It does. Mobile Moto brings up all-wheel drive it with an Aerostar transfer case.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's possible. I want to believe it is, and I'm probably going to go on a fucking weird oddball forum binge thing after this show and find out if it is, and have weird. I'm gonna sit here and fantasize about if I got this and the shit I'd do to it, even though I shouldn't. I don't really care for it. I have this weird. You kind of have that. You have like an 80s turbo nostalgia. I have like a 90s JDM shit can nostalgia, but then I also have a secondary fetish that it's weird shit. Like,
Yeah.
I want, when I'm walking through the Cars and Coffee and there's like a Lambo, there's this, and then I'm like, urge, and there's a record scratch, and I'm like, the fuck? That's the car I want. And I feel like this is that. Like, we're walking along, lowered Ranger. Okay, I had some buddies in high school, lowered Rangers. That look cool. Hoods popped, and I see intercooler piping, record scratch. Shoulders, square shoulder turn, head cock. You turn back, you look at your buddy, and you're like, hey, do the head over the shoulder thing. What the fuck is this? And they're like, bro, we just walked past exotics. Why are you looking at a Ranger? And I'm like, yeah, that's my weird fetish thing. I need this weird oddball stupid shit. And this is niching that perfectly for me. And
I know.
even though I'm not in the Ranger scene, I'm not in the Turbo Coupe scene. Ugh, I want it. So
I know. I do
I
too.
gotta
I
say,
think
bro,
it's cool.
3,500 is what he's asking. From what information I know, he should get it. Obviously, he's asking 35. If I rolled up, I'd be like, look, bro, I got 3. Make it happen. And he'd probably say yes. He's getting 3 all day for this in my mind, right?
He would have to. Right now, see, here's the problem. He admitted that the fenders are off, the front plastics are all off. It's just the bare front, and like everything's just tossed into the bed of the truck.
Bro, he admitted that, but I would have fucking went out there with a impact driver and put that shit back on in 18 and a half minutes.
And I understand that. Like, but it doesn't sound to me through his messages like he's going to be putting any more time into it. And me personally, I think that if the front end was all put together, he would probably be getting his asking price. But now that we know it's all taken apart, I mean, that changes just the visuals of it. You know what I mean? The optics. You get what I'm saying?
So I got mobile mode. We got to we're going to wait till after we're done to read that comment, but that's kind of how I feel. So he's asking 35. He's going to get fucking 3 for it all day, every day. If this was in my neighbor's yard for sale, what would I give him? That's hard for me because I'm about to go look. Like, it's hard for me not to go look at this truck, and I want to, but I don't want to because I'm afraid I'll bring it home. It's one of those where I'm like, I want this, but I don't want to end up with it. I'm in a weird spot. I don't need another project, even though I feel like I need this. This guy has grown tired of it. Could there possibly be something else wrong with it? And that's why he's just done with this thing. Like, a tune isn't complicated. Seems like you could drag that to any of multiple Ricer shops and get this thing tuned. It's a Mega Squirts, popular tuner. But it just sounds like he's just fucking done with it. He's been working on it. I'm assuming there's a wife that's like, please get that out of the garage. If my neighbor had this thing.
It literally, it could be a grounding strap problem or something, you know. We found that out on my protege, how you have to have really, really strong power and really strong grounds in order to operate a standalone engine management system, right? So, I mean, even if there's some electrical gremlins, it's got a whole new wiring harness. And as long as he didn't cut it all up, like, that shouldn't be your problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
That's the other thing, is I was worried this was a spliced together wiring fit job, but he's asking 35. If my neighbor had this for 3, dude, but I in my head, I'm like, if I walked over there and he had this for 3, I'd almost give him more for it if this guy was my neighbor, because I know there would be a knowledge pool I could pick on, whereas this dude's some random, you know what I mean? Dude, I think if this was my neighbor's, I might give him 3 for it. I don't know. It's hard for me not to go look at this right now. Like, this seems like such a really good, I'm not going to say good deal because it's a project, but on the other hand, like, it's worth it in parts in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Here's what I'm going to say. If it's a penny under 3, if this is $2,900, I'm not even going to listen to I'm not going to ask my wife. She's just going to see the bank accounts last and be like, yeah, I bought a Ranger. So there's that. Sorry. I'm asking forgiveness, not permission. Honestly, if I'm afraid if I messaged him, he said it'd take 29, I think I'd go get it. I don't want to message him and have him say yes. Like, I'm scared to talk too much about this because I might end up with it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Where are you feeling on this, Andy?
Personally, I think he's going to budge a little bit. I expect this to sell for 3,300, but I truly do think that it's a deal at 35. I think it's a very strong deal. Me personally, if I had the cash, you know, and don't get this confused, you guys, when you're listening to this podcast. It's not about if you just if it was sitting there right now. When we always say that, sitting at your neighbor right now, but imagine you were looking for a car and you had the disposable income, you know, sort of keep that in the back of your mind. Would you or would you not gamble your money on this thing. And I 100% would. I'm actually going to go a little bit higher than you. If this was sitting in my neighbor's yard and it was 3,200, I would be scrimping and scrounging and finding some way to get it. And frankly, it's because I feel the same way Mobile Moto does. Let's just go ahead and talk about that. Mobile Moto says if he came at me with that on a trailer, I'd give him $4,000. I think Mobile Moto, you're not alone.
Sounds like Mobile
I
Moto
really-
is a hardcore Ranger guy and might give him a touch more on his yard.
He's
it
a hardcore Ford guy. Fox bodies, Rangers, Mustangs.
Yeah, he's got a couple of those motors. Says he could have it running in a weekend. God, that makes it because
He says
I
that's
know
a
to have
12
somebody
second
that
truck
has-
running.
now there's somebody that I am loosely connected with that I could pull knowledge base off of and have this. Ugh, this is getting hard for me not to message this guy. And I honestly am surprised it's not sold already. It seems like such a solid deal. I got that Colorado. If I just threw a fucking bumper on that, I could sell it for twice what this is, and then split it.
Oh, it does have, those are Washington plates, I think, but it's located in Salem. So there may be some title fuckery, but that could explain why it's been up for so long. Or just people aren't interested. Like you said, they're just not interested in trying to tackle something like this. I mean, I know plenty of people where they see the standalone engine management system and just go, nope, I'm gonna skip that one.
I messaged this one guy and just like, I wouldn't touch that project with your dick. Like, and I'm like, dude, he's already bought all the stuff. Like, this is what you would have to do. He's just put half the puzzle together for you. He's like, yeah, no. I'm like, I go both ways on the not touching somebody else's project. Like, ugh, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
try
Mobile
Mobile
Moto
Moto.
says
I
that-
try not to go down that because it gets now I got to find a cab. Now I'm into it another $2,000. Yeah, yeah. You have 6 cabs. It's different.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Koi's not trying to turn his house into a junkyard just yet.
Yeah, dude, this thing's a deal, and I'm literally trying to talk myself out of messaging this guy and going to look at it.
Yeah, I think it's a solid deal, and I have some experience with this particular year of at least the electronics that are on this motor. And hey, we've got somebody in the comments that knows all about these. So we've got a support network here, you guys. If you do think it's a deal and you want to run out there and buy it, don't hesitate and hit us up. Let us know. We've got some resources that we can help you out with here, you guys. If somebody out there, by the way, thinks that this is a total just steaming pile of a doobie, go ahead and let us know that too. We want to know your thoughts about it. Drop them down in the comments. But for right now,
I got to research this Aerostar transfer case situation too. This, holy shit! Can you imagine, bro? All-wheel drive, turbo, street mod, Ranger truck, autocross. I don't know. It might could be a fucking autocross monster. Who knows?
I don't know which is going to explode first, your brain or your dick.
Smokin Deal or Smokin Adobe.
Well, Koi, that is everything that we had to cover today, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me. Where can folks find you, my friend?
Same place as always, guys. Any of the Horsepower Hour pages, just send us a message. If you specifically want to talk to me, then say, hey, this message is for Koi, and I will friend or fight you or whatever it is you need. We only have so many admins, so that message will get to me quite easily.
Hell yeah. That's facebook.com/the horsepower hour, facebook.com/groups/the horsepower hour, by the way, at the horsepower hour on Instagram. Come and check out the TikTok. We're still trying to keep that afloat for a little while longer. Got some fun videos. I'm just, posting random car stuff. I think people are enjoying it. Oh, and before we wrap up, I did want to let everybody know we've actually switched hosting platforms for our podcast. I'm hoping that there are not too many teething issues, but there could be. We may lose service on, one of the podcatchers and Apple or Google services or whatever. I'm trying to fix those as they come. If you have been a listener and now you can't find us, well, it's going to be hard for you to hear this since you can't find it. But If you see any issues with the Horsepower Hour where you find any of your other podcasts, please do let us know so that we can get that fixed and get back to making the quality content that you guys know and love. So, Coy, always a pleasure, my friend. Always. I wish you well, and don't be touching any laced up heads, okay?
Stab me instead, please.
And
If
you do buy this Ranger, I hope that I'm the first to know.
I can't let myself buy it, even though it's such a good deal and I want to so badly. I can't. I'm trying not to go down that road, Andy.
Well, time will tell. Time will
I'm
tell.
like an alcoholic sitting in a bar right now. Just like, no, I shouldn't be here. Why am I?
And on that note, you guys, one more time, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And for Coy Forticus and Maston Jr., Senior, Esquire, Duke of Earl Grey, this is Andy. We will see you next time.